defenders, I think, it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Man. Come on, Ian. Just as the man said there, another day, another live stream, another live video. People deluded. I'm back again. First things first, appreciative of everybody tuned in. Please make sure you're commenting, liking, subscribing, and all of that good stuff. Now, it feels like things are going full circle where we've been re-linked with Douglas Luiz. Probably tomorrow we'll be linked with Vlahovic, Yuri Telemans, Moussa Diaby, even though he could ironically be going to Aston Villa. As you know, we've completed, I'd assume, Mikel Arteta's priority targets in Timber, Havertz, and Declan Rice. We're probably going to focus on outgoings, and we probably are looking at another centre mid now. Douglas Luiz, another one like Caicedo, we've had unsuccessful bids for, so there has to be a level of interest if there is a deal to be done with Aston Villa for him. Obviously, he's Brazilian, can play as a six, can actually contribute going forward as well. I could see why he would be a decent player for the squad, but forgive me if I'm wrong, did he not sign a new deal at Aston Villa? And Aston Villa seem like they're assembling a decent squad. It looks like they're going to get Moussa Diaby. There's talk of even bringing in Jeremy Doku. They've obviously brought in Yuri Telemans, Paul Torres. Unai Emery, our former manager, seems to be doing something decent. And also, on top of bringing in players, you want to keep hold of your good players, which they've actually been successful in doing in getting his contract done. I don't really buy this, but him being a midfielder, us bidding for him, if we've bidded for him previously, there has to have been some conviction in his abilities. Now, obviously, time has changed a lot of things, and you have to wonder, how would our team look if we actually got some of our targets? Had we have got Mudryk, had we have got Rafinha, had we have got Vlahovic, had we have got Douglas Luiz, potentially Caicedo, how would the existing 11 or the squad look at this moment in time? But everything happens for a reason. Nonetheless, smash the like button. Arsenal ready to hijack Tottenham's Douglas Luiz transfer as Spurs line up Chelsea ace as backup. Chelsea are needing to sell players. Conor Gallagher's been linked with Spurs. Spurs have been linked with a lot of players. As it says there, they plan to sell Højbjerg. Tottenham and Arsenal are poised to tussle it out to land midfield ace Douglas Luiz. I don't think it's that deep for Arsenal. There probably is an admiration. There probably is a willingness to get a deal done, but I don't really think he's the guy. Now, I know we've brought in Kai Havertz, and I would take Douglas Luiz as part of the squad, but he's more than a six. He's not quite a six, but he is a six. But I wouldn't say we're well stocked in that position. I would still love to bring in Caicedo, even though he looks like he's going Chelsea. But it does appear, and I don't know who, but if we were to sign another midfielder, surely it's got to be an 8 because, Partey, 1 minute he's leaving, 1 minute he's staying, but you've got Thomas Partey, you've got Declan Rice, you've got Jorginho. There are 3 primary number 6s. You've obviously got El Nene who could come in and do a job to a certain standard. Where the 8s are concerned at this club, obviously Odegaard can play there. Kai Havertz has just been signed and could play there. Smith Rowe's obviously there. I don't know if I've said Fabio Vieira. I don't think Zinchenko's ever going to get a proper run out in midfield in his Arsenal career, but him as well. But it does feel surely if you're going to get someone, it's probably more of an 8, someone whose strengths are probably in the opposition's half of the pitch, a bit like Granit Xhaka. On the topic of Havertz, I do think you could play that Xhaka role, but I wonder what it will be like, because you look at Granit Xhaka, he did all the things that were needed in a central midfielder. He's obviously box to box, and he did the dirty work and obviously mucked in defensively. Apologies, people. I don't know why that's there. Sorry, this is just putting me off. Apologies. No do-overs. Mistakes happen. Sorry, I just saw something drop on the floor and it's just going to put me off. I'm going to be thinking about that. It's the other aspects of being a central midfielder, the dirty work, defending, actually helping the fullback and the left winger defend wide areas, for example, and the defensive stuff, all the other metrics. In terms of playing football, Havertz can match Xhaka, but all the other aspects, I do think we're missing something in midfield. Like, personally, I think we've upgraded our midfield. I think there is depth, but on the same time, is there really? Are we that strong in midfield? I don't know, people, because if something happens to Thomas Partey, if something happens to Declan Rice, Jorginho, we're probably in trouble there, really. Again, we've got players that are multifunctional and can play in that role, but in terms of out-and-out genuine options at this moment in time who are likely to line up behind Martin Odegaard and form a partnership behind him, the Declan Rices, the Jorginhos, the Parteys, potentially El Nene, who wasn't listed when Arteta said we've got 3 very good number 6s. I don't know. And again, when I see reports like this, money talks. So Spurs will have to overpay for Douglas Luiz if they want him. Aston Villa in a good position. You know, I swear he's got a girlfriend. He plays for Aston Villa's women. I could be wrong, or does something like that. Who work primarily is in Birmingham. So maybe there's a lifestyle thing. When I see rumors like this, it also makes me believe that Spurs are close to getting him, because we saw this with City with Declan Rice. Every time it appears a club is close to signing a player, the new media comes out and says, you know, hijacking and all these things. Apparently, for what it's worth, Spurs are going to target the Aston Villa man if they sell Højbjerg. They face competition from the Gunners, who are eyeing a fresh move for the Brazilian. We're keen on him last summer, but the 25-year-old signed a new deal, obviously at Villa Park, which makes it harder to price him away, people. So we'll have to see. And it seems like there's a knock-on effect, because Conor Gallagher is available, and then obviously you've got Caicedo with Brighton, and then you've got Douglas Luiz. So it seems a bit like there could be a merry-go-round. But it doesn't say anything other than that. It does say Brighton value Caicedo 100 odd million. So I think that rules out Arsenal, if there is it. But, you know, we've been linked with Douglas Luiz, Lavia, probably not the number 8 profiles. Moving away from that, let me know your thoughts. Inter are set to prioritize Balogun. Again, rumors of Balogun to Inter Milan and to Italy persist, people. Apparently, he's on the list of targets. We have seen some reports that say, you know, there's 2 names in front of him. Morata, for example. Apparently, Morata has an offer from the Middle East, so I'm not sure. But Inter are now looking set to prioritize a move for Balogun, as they remain keen on signing the striker. A host of names are on Inter shortlist after Alfredo Pidula reports that after having spoke to the entourage of Morata, they are now set to prioritize a move for Balogun, who obviously impressed in France last season. Apparently, Inter know that to sign Balogun, they would have to make a bigger financial sacrifice than what they were doing for Lukaku. Really? I don't imagine Balogun's going to get as much in wages as Lukaku, maybe in terms of a cold-hearted transfer fee, as the American could cost more. But Inter believe that the youngster is the perfect investment at this point, and also for the future, because he could be sold if he keeps developing. He could be sold probably back to England for a little profit. They've also been linked with Beto and Skamaka, people. So again, it's not just Balogun, but we'll have to see and monitor that closely as speculation rumbles on. Allegedly, we've rekindled our interest in Osman Diomande of Sporting Lisbon, who joined them in January. Obviously, I think he's a very good young centre-half, but for him, does it make sense? You've just moved to Portugal. You've got Saliba, Gabriel, potentially Tomiyasu, Timber, Kirill now. You know, we seem well stocked defensively, and I don't know for game time. Arsenal did allegedly have an interest in him in January. He elected for Sporting Lisbon, so we'll have to watch that. And he apparently is going to cost a lot of money, but for what it's worth, people, according to Bruno Andre, the Gunners were eyeing the defender when he was on Michelin's books. So back in Denmark, he could have been available for 7 million. Apparently, Arsenal considered signing him and then ironically loaning him out to Sporting Lisbon. And we've seen him play against us. Apparently, the English and Portuguese are now working on different fronts for the young centre-back loan to Marfra. Well, so that's in that. We didn't sign him at the end of the day, and he has a release clause of about 60, 70 million. So that's quite the upgrade and quite the markup in what could have been an initial 7 to 10 million quid. Once again, Moussa Diaby looks set to join Aston Villa after rejecting a move to Saudi Arabia. So you can tick him off the list for Arsenal. Nuno Tavares apparently is attracting a lot of interest from clubs in the Premier League as well as other places. Everybody's got an interest in Balogun, Tavares, Lokonga to Burnley, etc. But to our knowledge as fans, no offers have been placed at the feet of Arsenal. So we can't accept or reject, and they're staying put where they are at the moment. Really and truly, Tavares' days appear numbered, so he needs to keep it moving. I actually did a video with a Marseille fan, really, where we spoke about Balogun, about Tavares, and I need to drop that, so make sure you're looking out for that. Also, make sure you're looking out for the tactical analysis thing I did on Timber. And actually, after this video, I'm going to go and record another one. We know DRB's off the table, so that report could be left. Arsenal apparently have made an inquiry for 20-year-old Montpellier striker Wahi. We've seen that before, but that's according to RMC Sport, who say several clubs are interested in the French forward, and they are. We've seen a whole heap of stuff. Apparently, there's an offer from Chelsea incoming, and he could be loaned to Strasbourg, a club that they've bought, and they're trying to do the City Group thing of having several clubs as part of their dynasty. Arsenal's inquiry comes at an interesting time, given they are trying to decide the future of Balogun, really. I mean, if Arteta thinks he's better than Balogun, then why not Anedi Nketiah? So who knows? but we've made an inquiry. Again, last month, the president of Montpellier said his agent talks with 4 or 5 big clubs. I know them, but I won't tell you. We know he likes Arsenal a lot. At this moment in time, he has 32 goals in 84 Liga appearances, and he is quite the player, people. I do like him and think he's got a decent future in the game. Arsenal have Kieran Tierney trick up their sleeve. Again, well, we know I'm not going to bother reading this because we know Tierney's been linked with a move away from the club, but with Timber, obviously Tierney can probably get more game time as Timber inverts on the right hand side, and you've seen him probably not organically, but based off the MLS All-Star games, kind of play half as a fullback, half as a centre back. And everybody knows my position on Tierney. If he wants to leave, having seen about 3 options play ahead of him at left back, fair enough. But I think we should look to utilize him and keep him at the squad. Really, there will be times where Kieran Tierney's weaknesses in what is an evolving Mikel Arteta system could potentially be a strength. 2 players from Arsenal have been linked with Saudi Arabia. Thomas Partey links to El Ahly. I can't pronounce them. Forgive me. Won't go away. Partey has joined up with the US, with the club for the US tour. Apparently, we're open to selling as we look to recoup funds. I think it'd be silly to let Partey go, if I'm honest with you. Maybe next year, but not now. So we'll have to see how that develops. He's not alone, though, because Nicolas Pepe, technically a teammate of his, has seen an Arsenal exit collapse as talks break down with unnamed Saudi club on a £4 million a year move, people, for the Ivory Coast winger. Now, doesn't he earn around 7 million a year at Arsenal? 4 million quid? Not really, it's you're losing money, especially Saudi Arabia, where they seem to have more money than sense for some players, and go get the bag, really. According to CBS, Pepe won't be the latest name heading to the Middle East after talks broke down between the player and an unnamed Saudi Pro League club, people. Again, it seems like wages are the things happening, and probably going to Saudi is probably the only way Arsenal are going to get what I would call a decent / reasonable fee for Partey. I mean, for Partey as well, but for Pepe, and obviously rid his wages. Every option has to be on the table for Arsenal. Going out on loan, getting a couple of million in terms of a loan fee, and then just biting the bullet for a year sort of thing, paying some of his wages and not all. Obviously, the reality is Pepe could run down his deal and not kick a ball for Arsenal, which is not what everyone wants. In an ideal scenario, he's sold and the club takes his wages completely off of Arsenal's bill, or maybe potentially his contract is terminated at the club. We'll have to see. Currently, he's not with the boys in America, which tells you everything. Finally, apparently Martinelli has claimed Arsenal are preparing for the worst from Europe's top teams this season. Oh, what have you said here, Martinelli? I think we need to prepare ourselves for the worst. We need to prepare ourselves for the best teams, and the whole team is doing that. I think we are ready for a new challenge. Big up Martinelli. I hope we are. It's so important, our squad depth, because we have too many games in a season and it's going to be tough again. We're ready to go, and it's good to have so many options. Fair enough. He then said it was difficult to miss the last 2 games of the season, where, it's unfortunate that VAR against United as well. You would have been the record scoring Brazilian in the league, really. I think you're tied with Firmino. And then I went to the break and tried to recover as soon as possible. That's what I did. And now I'm fully back and ready to go again. I'm confident to start the new season. It's easier to play when you have so many players like Saka and Trossard. So we'll have to see how things develop, people. Any other emerging Arsenal talking points? I'll get vids and other content out for you lot. Smash the like button and all of that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section or when this video premieres. One love for listening. I hope you're doing well and safe and have had a blessed week. And I hope next week and this weekend coming is great for you lot. Again, subscribe if you haven't. Follow on all the socials. Information is in the description. God bless you all.
There's always just that accurate red flag, defending. I think it's like